Hello, my friends. Jacob Israel is here once again, and so are all of you beautiful people out there who hit the play button to discover that things just continue to get more exciting. I wanted to say insane, but really, it's exciting. My last video that I did, well, it turns out it looks like we hit the nail on the head with the number 17. Take a look. Whole thing about the Speaker of the House going down. I did the whole thing about Donald Trump and all the sevens and how he's connected to the sevens all over. I talk about the sevens. And it was interesting and it was fascinating. And he made it happen. Trump literally made the Speaker go down on the 7.
I especially thank President Trump. I don't think anybody should doubt his influence. He was with me from the beginning. Somebody wrote the doubt of whether he was there. And he was all in. He would call me and he would call others. And he really was, I was just talking to him tonight, helping get those final votes. And what he's really saying...
January 7th, 17, 1-7. Maybe it's a stretch. By the end of the show, I don't think you're going to find it to be a stretch. A lot of stuff's happening right now. We got Bolsonaro. He's actually, supposedly, he's not doing too good. I think he's on the way to the hospital. He's like the Trump of Brazil. This stuff's going down right now on January 8th. Where everybody stormed the thing. They even have their own Baphomet. That's right. We had one and they had their version. Nothing symbolic or strange about any of that stuff. They called him that he was the Brazilian Trump back in the day. So it's ironic that here we are almost a year later and they're doing the same thing. Stranger still, Vince McMahon, he's back at the WWE on January 7th. That's 1/7/17. Whoa! We're going to be talking about Revelation. We're going to be talking about the end times, the Antichrist, the beast that was given the head wound and all the... Oh boy! That's what 17 means, by the way, in Strong's in Hebrew. That's the way you say it. Oh boy! What a show we have for all of you, so buckle up! So I woke up in the morning and I was a little bit down, I gotta be honest, because when I did that whole show, I just did a show. It was fun, right? We had a good time, didn't we? It's actually doing very well. Doing very well too, which I like. I like to see, because all of you are getting involved. Like right now, if you're watching, hit the like button for me. It helps. Make sure you leave a comment too. You have no idea how it helps. And if you're really super awesome, you're really a super awesome Israel light, light L-I-G-H-T, then share the video too, because this is a very eerie one. It's weird. It's weird. I woke up in the morning and I was like, Lord, I thought that it was going to be done on the 17th. I thought it was going to be on the 17th round. I don't know why I was so focused on 17. I put it on the thumbnail. I did all that stuff, but yet it wasn't 17. But then I woke up and Defeat the Elite. He sends me a DM and he says, hey, you were right. It happened in 1/7, January 7th, 17. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, of course it did. Of course. That's exactly what I meant. I thought it was going to be like the 17th vote. I couldn't get away from 17. I didn't know why. You saw, that's why I put it, even on the thumbnail, if you take a look at it, Trump's pointing to it like he makes it happen on the thumbnail. And for whatever reason, I had like the 1 a lot smaller than the 7. Would that be January 7th? He made it happen? He made it happen! By the way, do you know when McCarthy was, he finally was, voted in? It was at 12:34 a.m. on January 7th. 1/7. So I couldn't get away from the numbers, and I woke up in the morning, I was a little down because I thought, oh, it's going to probably be this, because, of course, there's the connection to that 17th letter, which, by the way, I tell everybody I'm not involved in any of that stuff. I don't think that the truth should be hidden in the shadows and should be mysterious. I think it should be up front, right in your face, say, hey, look, I'm just a guy and I'm sharing what I feel that the Lord is telling me to share. Well, you shouldn't be hiding behind something, saying you know things. Maybe it's a little bit of a psyop, you think? But I'm not into that, but it's still incredibly interesting. That number 17, Trump is all over that number 17. It's his own little doll. The Trump doll, it has 17 expressions. Not to mention, one of you awesome people on Twitter shared a video with me of Trump saying 17 like a gabillion times.
17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17, 17.
Number 17 in Strong's in Hebrew, right? Because you know that words in the Bible, there's these things called Strong's. If you want to get to the definition of certain words that are in Scripture, and you want to see if there's a deeper meaning to it, all you gotta do is you click it, and there's a number that's associated with it. And this one, 17 in Hebrew, oh boy, it's connected to sorrow. Proverbs 23, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has strife, who has complaint, has to do with like murmuring. Interesting enough. But in Greek, in the New Testament, that's where it's really weird. Because if we're talking about sorrow, we're talking about correction, we're talking about people that are murmuring and mumbling and complaining. Don't you find it strange that Strong's in Greek, agathopios, it means properly, it means one who does that is inherently good. It originates from God and it is empowered of him, like those that do good. It has something to do with God is in charge of all things. Now, ironically, that phrase, that number 17, only exists once, and it's in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 14, and it's freaky. The hairs on the back of my arm stand up in my neck when I read this. It was so weird. 1 Peter 14, or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by God, for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. It talks about how God sets up the rulers, how he sets up the governments, how he sets this up. Doesn't mean that it's great, but it means that he's doing it to correct some things. Oh boy, 17. Oh boy. Revelation 17, for God has put into their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to hand over to the beast their royal authority until God's words are fulfilled. Revelation 17 is about the governments and the world system being given over to a beast. Somebody who's going to do what God wants him to do. He's connected to a lot of symbolic things, like in Revelation we find out he's of the sevens. There's a reason and a purpose for everything, and we really don't know. According to Scripture, we see through a glass darkly, but soon we understand God face to face. We are known as he knows us. We know him as we are known by him. That's cool stuff, and there's a mystery there. So the new Speaker of the House is McCarthy. McCarthy. Looks like we're in for the age of McCarthyism. Okay? McCarthyism, the red scare and all that. The red wave! We said the red wave was coming. Now we got McCarthy's back in the helm. I think it may be a stretch, but I just find it very interesting. Do you know when the vote went down to? It was such a weird thing. It was on January 7th, 17 at 12:34 a.m. Isn't that strange? That's when it went down. 12:34. Like, what are the odds? 1, 2, 3, 4. These are like prominent, very important occult numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're like the numbers. When you do a little Google search, like what's the symbolism behind 1, 2, 3, 4? Guess what it has to do with? God's order, God's providence, God being in control. In Strong's, when you put that number in, 1, 2, 3, 4, it means to break through, to cleave, to break apart, like to cleave asunder. Like God is separating us from sin. He's coming in, he's going to correct us. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's what it means. That's in Hebrew. You know what it means in Greek? It's weird. Murmuring again. Murmuring. People complaining. People murmuring. In Greek, it means to murmur, gossip, complain, to babble. I'll give you the scripture. And the Pharisees and the scribes, they murmured, saying, "This man receives sinners and he eats with them." This is funny because this is like the day that we're in. This isn't even a little bit strange. Now we're going to get into really the strange part about this whole 17, because I was really, I did the whole show about the Epiphany. The Epiphany was 117, Tarpon Springs. That was the Epiphany celebration, 17. So why am I so focused on 17? Why, Jay? Well, I would tell you something, a lot of you get it. Host of Bantist sent me some cool stuff on Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook that often, by the way. Hey, if you want to get in touch with me, the best way to do it really is now Twitter. And you can email me by going in the description of the video. Twitter, I'm at JacobIsrael71, Jacob Israel on Twitter. Follow me there and DM me. Just reach out to me. Let me know that you're there. It'll be very exciting. I share a lot on Twitter. I'm not really that down with Facebook. They don't allow my website on there. My website, which just has like biblical, wonderful, spiritual, uplifting essays and wonderful poetry. It's like, no, it's not welcome there. It's not welcome. I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of things, but I do know that God's in charge of everything that happens. That's why I rejoice, even when things seem shady, as all get out. Costa sends me 7. He was so excited because he said, "Oh wow, your last video with all the 7s. I've done plenty of videos about Trump, just so you know, a lot of them. Okay, been talking about this for a long time. I had to remind people of the dream that I had back in October 2020, where I told everybody what was going to happen. I said, hey, look, it's going to look like he's going to lose everything. But maybe he's not really going to lose everything. I had this dream where Trump was in a casket. He was next to me. Hey, you know what? Just take a look at what I shared. So I have a dream. It's a very strange dream. I don't pay much attention to it. In the dream, and it was a couple of them, but this one was the one that stood out the most. In the dream, I, for some reason, was like with one arm was carrying like the casket of our president. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was open. But on the left-hand side of me, there was our president. So it was very strange. There was like, it was one in the casket with the casket wide open. There was also, I remember there being like, I noticed there was moss on the bottom of the casket, moss that was growing there. But in the dream, the president was smiling, he was laughing, he was having a great old time. And here I am carrying this, and I didn't understand. I'm like, oh. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, I get it. It's going to be like a fake thing, right? He was cut off and everything, and everybody was so down, and everybody was like, oh, it's so wrong, and we were biding our time, I said. I've done video after video after video about how he would be influential again, how maybe it's not real. Maybe it's, all just kind of like MAGA, witchcraft. That's what it means in Latin, by the way, witchcraft, MAGA, highest order Satanism. Trump and Vince McMahon, they're very close. They're very close. I've talked about this because I used to be the writer for the WWE. It's wild how the Lord puts people in positions, right? Like me, little old me. What was I doing on the plane with Vince McMahon from 1999 to 2001 when the ratings went sky high, and then I left and they lost half their audience? Haven't gotten it back. That's because of the Lord, by the way. Vince McMahon coming out of retirement after the whole scandal and everything else, because he's going to oversee what? The sale of WWE? It's going to be sold? Wait till you find out who he's going to sell it to. Vince Vince McMahon, right? I not modeled a character in my story after Vince McMahon, of all things. And then here he is. He's coming back. He's coming back to sell WWE. Oh, I put something out, a little crazy little tweet about this, where I had said, I put a little alarm and I said, Elon Musk to purchase WWE. And I said, that could be the headline. The dragon is always behind the rulers of Westeros. And Westeros is it's like a Game of Thrones reference. Westeros, the east, sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So the love of self, because the rising of Christ, that would be a picture. That's besides the point, right? Who cares? I said, please, Elon Musk, become part owner of WWE. And I said WWE, and then I wrote 333 because they look like 3 threes. So I have material. How cool would that be, right? Yeah, they already have the connection with Crown Jewel. Yeah, I had a dream. I've shared dreams. I had a dream about about all this stuff going down, which was really weird. Just the other night, I had a dream, and I don't know, I can't remember all of it, but there were people, and they were wearing, they were wrestlers, and they were wearing they had sponsorships, and one of the big sponsorships that was on this guy's right shoulder was Crown Royale, the alcohol, Crown Royale. And then I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, oh, Vince is back. Guess what? Vince McMahon came back. 17, January 7th, Vince McMahon comes back. He's in charge. Why? To sell WWE. To who? I think. To myself. Could it be the Trumpster? Because they're buddies, right? Remember, Trump shaved his hair? We talked about all that. I was there. Like, what was I doing there? How's God have me in the smack dab in the middle of all this madness going on? I think because God's in control. And when I said that the dragon's always behind Vince McMahon, it's because of that T-Rex that he has behind him for like $6,000 or something. I don't know if it cost that or $60,000, but he's got a dragon behind him all the time in the office. So he's back on when? 1/7/17. He's back to help with the sale. Already there's murmuring that it could be Bezos. I think it would be really cool if it's the Trumpster or if it's Elon. I think Elon would be a lot cooler because he watches the show. You know that, right? I don't know if he really watches. He watches. I think that if you've been here long enough, you've seen enough coincidence. We've seen enough coincidence. So Costas sends me this email with all of these sevens, right? The one that I found so interesting was the fact that Trump's inauguration, because I covered all of this. I covered all of this in my last show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Or you can see it in the video that I did called The Trump Paradox. Just go back into anything that has Trump on it, just go watch all of those. Catch up, do all your homework, because I said what was going to happen all along the way. I even wrote it, said God was going to replace a ruler. I said that January was going to start off with a bang, didn't I? I said it was going to be just crazy. I even titled my last video saying the government is about to change forever, and it just did. Bringing McCarthy in, when they brought him in, how they brought him in, all of that stuff. Very, very interesting. Not as interesting as the fact that Costas points out from Trump's inauguration, which was January 21st, 2017, to January 7th, 2023, it was exactly in between those 2 days, 71 months and 17 days. So you got 17 this way, you got 17 that way. 17, baby! Craziness with what's going on in Brazil. What's going on in Brazil? You know what's weird? What's weird is when Bolsonaro became president on January 1st, 2019, and then he met Trump. And it was like a big deal when the two of them came together because they were like, oh, they're so much alike, right? He's being sued, they're being sued. It's like all the it's the same story. just in Brazil.
The story that some are telling online is that perhaps he's in some kind of secret society. Video on Twitter surfaced this week. It looks like Bolsonaro is speaking at a mesa bat. You see the all-seeing eye in the background, so it's got a lot of people's eyebrows raised, if you know what I mean.
And when he met Trump, guess how many days it was in between? Exactly 77 days. Guess what Congress we're in now? We're from the 7s, now we're going to the 8s. Now we're in the 118th Congress, but it was 117. This gets me to think, well, maybe there's something to all this.
Into 1717. 17 and 17. 17.
You find it strange? I told you all. Didn't I tell you all? I told you all. I said don't buy into it. You know, you think that they really got him? You think they really got Trump? He's got his own social network now. Elon's got his own social network now. You know, it's like these people are bringing back everybody. You got all the people that are like, you know, big time 17th letter YouTubers and 17th letter bloggers that are back on Twitter. Guess when they came back? 17. You know that Chat GPT thing, the AI. I'm doing the free trial. Why don't you try it out? I asked it, give me a synopsis of The Calling by Jacob Israel. And the synopsis was amazing. I'm going to read it at the end of the show because it was like better than I could have written. I don't know how it like understood, but it had like a depth of meaning, and it was not like, it was an incredible summary for my novel. But I asked the AI, the number 17, what is it? And ChatGPT said the number 17 is associated with spiritual growth, enlightenment. It's said to represent a spiritual journey that needs to be taken in order to reach enlightenment. Kind of like what we're going through right now is going to get us somewhere. Kind of like the corruption and all this stuff and all the nonsense that's about to happen and the correction, because these words mean God's correction, God's rule, God's governance. All of these things are working together for the evolution of the spirit inside man, this AI says. It's also believed to signify the power of higher knowledge, to be able to access insight, intuition that comes from a higher realm. Additionally, the number 17 may signify overcoming life's obstacles and having the internal struggle and strength to overcome anything that stands in your way. 17th chromosome is a big deal. Some talk about the deletion of the 17th chromosome. That creates some problems. Some problems. It makes you, it doesn't, you know, your intellect, it hurts your intellect. Guess what else it does? It messes with your heart. That's right, 17. You know, there's like 17 chakras. That's right, Boca sent me a picture of the 17th chakra. So it's the astral gateway. Could you imagine if there's some kind of deletion going on, a 17th chromosome trying to break down, keep us from that gateway to the heavens? That would be weird, but make a great novel. Because right here on this show, what do? I'm a speculator. I like to speculate. Doesn't mean any of this stuff is really, really important. Could all just be a crazy coincidence.
17th.
You know what's weird is about, a year or so ago, when we started getting all those signals, maybe it was a couple of years ago, I did a couple of shows about the number 16. And I read from Revelation 16, and I told everybody, I said, it's coming, it's happening. I said, look, I come like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake and remains clothed, as to not go naked and be shamefully exposed. Someone emailed me or DM'd me or something just this morning. I had a dream about me, and people were coming to my house, and we were giving them clothes, or we were selling them clothes or something. There was like a line out the door, and her and her husband watched the show all the time. It was like, I felt like it was a good thing. I just don't know what it means. I'm like, oh, well, it's being clothed in righteousness. You know, it's like you're being clothed in righteousness. And it has to do with It has to do with being, more godly. And so in Revelation 16, where it's talking about all of these bowls, the 7 bowls that are poured out in the world, the wrath of God, how things are about to change. And I said, this is the day that we're in, because there was this signal that was like every 16, it was like repeated every 16 seconds or so. It was this show and this show. In it talks about like the Euphrates River drying up, and it talks about a lot of other things happening, and all these things basically happen. But now we're at 17. So what is 17? Revelation 17 is about Babylon and the prostitute on the beast. It sounds like good reading, huh? Let me read this to you, because it's just incredibly interesting and profound. Because that show that I showed you, that clip that I played for you, was from a video that was Revelation's Head Wound Revealed. So I have a dream. It's a very strange dream. I don't pay much attention to it. In the dream, and it was a couple of them, but this one was the one that stood out the most. In the dream, I, for some reason, was like with one arm was carrying like the casket of our president. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was open. But on the left-hand side of me, there was our president. So it was very strange. There was like, it was one in the casket with the casket wide open. There was also, I remember there being like, I noticed there was moss on the bottom of the casket, moss that was growing there. But in the dream, the president was smiling, he was laughing, he was having a great old time. And here I am carrying this, and I didn't understand. I'm like, oh, and then I woke up and I'm like, oh, I get it. It's gonna be. Like, what are the odds that I name that video Revelation's Head Wound Revealed? And it was on a video that I had where Trump was in a coffin and everything else. And I said, oh, I think they're going to fake something. I didn't know what it was, because that word head wound, it has to do with plague, actually. Plague, which could be like the virus of the crown. Remember when the Trumpster got that and he was at sea? Marf did like Adam at Marfoogle News and TV, awesome channel. If you don't watch Adam and Marfoogle, you should. Awesome channel. He did a video and it went like viral where they thought that he was at sea when he was sick. It was very interesting. Very interesting to think that here we are now, where I'm not saying that he is, by the way. There's some people going to be like, oh, it's him and it's this person and it's that person, and the dragon gives power to the beast, and the dragon could be Elon Musk. I've said this on the show because, of course, SpaceX, and he wears the devil's champion outfit. It's like it's on your nose, but it's right there. I'm not saying that this is all like 100% true. I'm not saying that, Trump is the beast. But according to the things that I was reading to you, I think that the people that serve God are going to be okay. In the book of Revelation, what people forget is God says, before all these things happen, to seal up his elect, right? So the people that are doing good, the people that are serving God, the people that are loving and forgiving and being kind, they're okay. They're okay in the midst of this storm. And it's a storm. And it's about to get really, really rocky.
17th.
The angel carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold, precious stones, and pearls. She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of all of her adulteries. The name written on her forehead was Mystery Babylon the Great, Mother of Prostitutes and the Abominations of the Earth. Some people say that that woman could be the Statue of Liberty. It really is kind of a picture of something spiritual, people, just so you know. The many waters is the world. It's Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots, isn't a great thing, right? I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the God's holy people, the blood of those who bore testimony to Jesus. When I saw her, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, why are you astonished? I'll explain to you the mystery of the woman and the beast she rides, which has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw was once, listen to this, the beast which you saw once was in power, now is not in power, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to destruction. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world, will be astonished when they see this beast, because it once was, now is not, and yet will come. This calls for mind the wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come, but when he does come, he must remain for a little while. That would be the one that's there now, if we're talking about this being literal people. The beast who was, and now is not, is the 8th king. He belongs to the 7s and is going to his destruction. The 10 horns are the 10 kingdoms who have not yet received a kingdom, but who, for 1 hour, will receive authority as kings along with this beast. They have one purpose and will give their power and authority to the beast. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them because he is the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, and with him will be his called, his chosen, and his faithful followers. Think about that for a second. I mean, this goes on and on. You should read Revelation. It's a great book. But here's the thing. Whether or not this is literally playing out in the world, which I think it literally is. I'm not saying that Trump is a beast or anything else, but I did say that he was like Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar lost everything at one point, and then God turned him into a beast years later. God uses everybody. Trump has so much symbolism connected to him, and he's so powerful, and he says some things that are very suspect. But he's not outside the will of God, meaning that whatever happens over the coming days, just know if God is for us, who can be against us, right? So 17, you tell me in the comment section if you think that means something. I mean, it's at some point, right? At some point, don't you think that maybe all of this stuff is real? Do you think at some point maybe God is real? Like maybe you should pray, ask for the truth. No matter, look at the shirt. Teach me the truth. You think maybe at some point you should pray that? I think you should. I think you should, especially now. I want to thank you all for being here. I'll tell you what. You know what? Get yourself a copy of The Calling on Amazon. Speaking of The Calling, hey, why don't you stick around, right? Watch this concept trailer. Even if you've seen it probably 50 times, watch it one more time. Because and also leave reviews, will you? I need more reviews. I'm almost at 1,000 reviews. Almost 1,000 5-star reviews for somebody who wasn't published by anybody mainstream. Somebody who just believed in a project, and because of all of you, look at the things that are happening. Look at the things that are happening, right? Buy yourself, guess how many copies? 17, and hand them out to people. What do you think? You could do that. It also helps me and helps the channel. I thank you all. I love you all. Watch the rest of, watch my movie concept trailer for The Calling if you want to get a copy of The Calling. Because I can tell you something. I think I wrote about this day. I did. It's actually, I entered it in as evidence in one of the chapters, like literally. All right? I love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling.